Welcome to the Aging Well Firefighter, the podcast for first responders, our families, and the communities we serve. Whether you're on the front lines or standing with us, I'm here to help you fight wisely and age bravely. The latest article in our Gravity Never Sleeps series on falls prevention looked at an idea that surprises a lot of people. Falls don't strike randomly. They tend to cluster at certain times of the day, and often for predictable reasons, like mornings when blood pressure is low and midnight trips to the bathroom and the days right after a hospital discharge. But here's the thing. Understanding when we fall only gets us part of the story. If we want to prevent falls or to recover well after one, we also have to understand the bigger picture of aging and community and support systems. And that's where today's guest comes in, Brittany Borchert. She's the Aging Services Supervisor for the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Dodge County, and she also serves on the county's Falls Prevention Coalition. She brings clinical insight into why falls happen, but more importantly, she brings a front row seat to how social factors like finances and family support and access to care shape who is at risk and how well people can bounce back. If you've ever wondered why your mornings feel unsteady, or how the community you live in quietly shapes your fall risk, you're going to want to lean into this one. Now, if you're ready to hear my conversation with Brittany, let's dive in. Brittany is with the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Dodge County. And Brittany, can you tell us a little bit about what you do there?
Sure. I am the supervisor at the Aging and Disability Resource Center, so I oversee the aging programs, which include our senior nutrition program, transportation, our elder benefits specialist program, caregiver program support.
Mhm.
And then I oversee the ADRC side, so the aging and disability side, which includes our resource specialists, our dementia care specialist, and our disability specialist.
Oh, great. So you must keep pretty busy then in Dodge County.
We are very busy. Our office is always hopping with things going on. We've got a lot.
I hear a lot that we have a growing older adult population. Is that really the case?
That is really the case.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yes. All of that generation is growing older
Mhm.
and is expected to grow significantly by 2030.
Okay.
So yes, our aging population is growing and our disabled population is, I don't want to say it's dwindling, but it's not growing as fast,
Okay.
thankfully, because our aging population is growing.
Okay. So when we talk about aging and older adults, what age range are you usually looking at?
We, for the purpose of older adults, classify anyone 60 plus as an older adult.
Okay.
So that's several different generations now, right?
Right,
You
yeah.
have 60 is pretty active yet, and I'm, in my opinion, not very old.
Mhm.
And then you have your 80, 90, some living into their hundreds. So trying to cater our services and our programming to things that are interesting to all of those age ranges is
Very wide range. Yeah.
yes.
And as somebody who is going on 55 myself, I will agree with you that 60 is not old.
Oh.
So Brittany, in your work with the Aging and Disability Resource Center and with the Falls Prevention Coalition in the county, what patterns do you tend to see in when and how older adults tend to fall? Do you notice that certain times of day or situations come up again and again?
Really, a fall can happen anytime,
Mhm.
right? But yeah, there are certain times in the day where people are at higher risk of falling, specifically in the morning
Mhm.
or in the evening, kind of right after getting out of bed or kind of before bed.
Okay.
When you're tired, you're groggy, your balance isn't as good as what it is during the middle part of the day or the afternoon.
Mhm. During the coffee hours.
Yes, yes. We see oftentimes people getting up too fast.
Okay.
People get up fast from a chair, get up from a bed. They get dizzy and they have to get their footing down before they can start walking. Sometimes that leads to a fall.
Okay. So that's where maybe assistive devices being nearby and handy as you're getting up is really important.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Let's see, nighttime, in the middle of the night,
Mhm.
you gotta get up and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's a big time for a fall. Poor lighting.
Mhm.
You're not wearing good footwear. Usually you are barefooted, and as you get older, those feet get a little slippery,
Mhm.
and it's easy to lose your balance. We live in Wisconsin, so winter.
Yeah.
Winter's coming up.
Yeah, of course. Winter. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. In the article I wrote that this podcast goes along with, I talked about mornings, nights, and post hospital
Mm.
discharge as high risk windows. From your perspective, what other danger windows should families be aware of? Do you see a lot of that post hospital falling?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are stubborn. They wanna get home. They don't want you don't wanna be in a hospital any longer than you wanna be, so
Right.
you go home maybe a little too early, and you're not back to your full strength, and if you don't have adequate supports, it's really easy to sit in the chair because you're not strong enough to get out,
Mhm.
which only makes you more weak
Right. Yeah.
and susceptible to falls or another fall. Medication changes are another one
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that we see. And not just medication in the aspect of the side effect could cause dizziness, but the way the medication affects you taking it.
Mhm.
Does it increase or decrease your thirst or your appetite?
Okay.
Because that's going to have an effect on your nutrition
Oh,
and keeping up your blood pressure and your blood sugars, which all can contribute to falling,
that all
as
plays
you know.
together. Yeah. I'm hearing that falls don't usually happen in a vacuum. There are a lot of other contributing factors, and it's not necessarily the fall itself. They can also be shaped by finances and social support and access to care. And from your experience, how do these social factors affect whether someone's at risk of falling or how well they recover after a fall?
We know that there's scientific evidence that social isolation and loneliness is just as bad for your health as smoking, what, I think it's like 15
Oh, yeah.
cigarettes a
The
day.
Surgeon General
Yeah,
came out with that a couple of years ago.
right. And unfortunately, a lot of our aging population is living alone.
Mhm.
And for a variety of reasons, that connection, they lose that connection,
Mhm.
whether it be because of physical decline or they're losing, family loved ones themselves,
Yeah.
which has an impact on their overall physical well-being.
Mhm.
I think of it as a spiral because your physical well-being starts to decline, making things harder. You're icky, you're tired or whatever, and you are sitting more, which leads to weakness, which leads to increased instability and falls. We have a lot of folks who, for whatever reason, put off going to the doctor, whether it be financial reason or just stubbornness or personal beliefs. They put off going to see that doctor about pain in their leg or their back or whatever it is. And again, it kind of starts that spiral down
Yeah.
because if you're not taking care of and addressing the issue, it's not going to go away.
Right.
It's going
Yeah.
to stay.
Exactly. It's a domino effect.
Right.
What role do families and caregivers play in helping recognize these fall danger windows? And are there some simple things that they can do to help reduce that risk without making their loved one feel overprotected or coddled?
I think the biggest one is
Okay.
being present in your older adult's life so that they can maintain that connection and feeling included and continuing that sense of purpose as they grow older.
Mhm.
I think it also comes down to reframing the way that we have conversations about falling or even just concerns about our parents or elders
Mhm.
growing older. We have an idea of what we think they should do.
Right.
And oftentimes we tend to share that opinion or idea
Mhm.
without any actual input on what their ideas might be.
Sure.
Just because you're growing older doesn't mean that you no longer have a say.
I remember when my dad was still alive and it was time to start to talk to him about whether or not he should be driving anymore. That was a very tough conversation, not only with my dad, but among all of us siblings, I'm the eldest of six. It was a tough conversation to have even before we wound up approaching him because each of us had a different opinion on how we should do
Mhm.
it.
Oh, yeah, families are very dynamic,
Yeah, very much
and those
so.
conversations are hard, and I'm not saying that, at the end of the day, there might still be an ultimatum that needs to be made, right, to keep everybody safe, but it's reframing how we have that conversation,
Okay.
and if caregivers are interested in learning how to have those tough conversations, we actually offer a powerful tools for caregiver class.
Oh, wow.
And that is one of the topics that we talk about
Okay.
on how to have difficult conversations. We actually have a class coming up in October. So
Oh, great. And that's accessible through your website?
you give us a call.
Okay. So I'll make sure that I include that information in the
Yeah.
show notes so anybody who's interested can have access to it. That's
Yep.
terrific. That's terrific. So if someone is worried about themselves or a loved one, what other resources are available through ADRC or through the Falls Coalition?
There's an abundance of resources. The best thing to do is call the ADRC. You'll get one of our resource specialists on the phone. They're all very friendly. I can assure you of that. If they're not, I would love to hear your experience, but
Okay.
I can assure everyone that they are very friendly and they're always willing to help. But we have resources to various adaptive aids that we can connect people to, resources if they need outside agencies to come into the home to
Mhm.
help. There's funding resources that we can discuss, which some are based on current financial situations.
Okay. So like
Others are
income
not.
sliding scale kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are very individualized conversations that we generally have with people. And the Falls Coalition is fairly new, but my hope is that we will expand eventually and be able to offer some in-home assessments for people to assess their fall risks, to hopefully prevent those in the future.
And prevention is the key. Sometimes people hear falls prevention and they think it means slowing their lives down too much or avoiding any kind of physical activity. So, how would you reframe that conversation so it feels empowering rather than limiting for somebody?
Don't focus on the fear of falling, right? That's the negative aspect of
Okay.
falls prevention is you focus on the fear of falling, what's going to happen when I fall,
Mhm.
rather focus on the positive side of it of maintaining your independence. So kind of shifting that mindset and having more of a positive mindset and focus on the things that you can control.
Mhm.
Preventive strategies like strength training or exercise, balance exercises, nutrition, making some small changes to your house.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not real expensive to get rid of those throw rugs or put in some lighting or rails, bars,
Right.
whatever it might be.
I know the Falls Coalition in cooperation with the Beaver Dam Fire Department right now is offering an incentive to get rid of some of those throw
Yes.
rugs. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, on September 23rd at the McDonald's on Park Avenue on the
Mhm.
south side of Beaver Dam, they are hosting a Mugs for Rugs event. So you bring in your throw rug, they will give you one of their fancy little mugs that they ordered, and you get a free cup of coffee.
Oh,
And you get to
terrific.
chat with the Beaver Dam Fire Department.
Uh, that's an incentive just by itself. So, Brittany, if there was one piece of advice that you could give our listeners about falls, something that you wish everybody understood, what would that be?
Be proactive. You're never too old to make steps to live healthier,
Mhm.
even just little changes, whether that be a change to your diet or an increase in your activity. Those little changes add up to be big beneficial in the long run.
Terrific. So, think long term and not just right now.
Yes, it's
Awesome.
much easier to be proactive than to have to deal with a catastrophe down the road.
Okay. Well, Brittany, I want to thank you so much for your time. I know that your work in the ADRC and with the Falls Coalition keeps you really busy, so your time is very valuable, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
I really enjoyed my conversation with Brittany. A few things stood out to me, and I hope they stood out to you too. Like how falls aren't just about balance or slippery floors or the time of day, they're also about the world around us. As Brittany pointed out, the risk of falling and the ability to recover afterward is shaped by social factors. Things like housing that's safe or unsafe, whether someone can afford help at home, if their medications are reviewed regularly, and whether they have family or community support to lean on. It reminded me that gravity never sleeps, yes, but it also never acts alone. Morning dizziness, nighttime bathroom trips, post-shift exhaustion, and post-hospital discharge. Those are danger windows, absolutely, but they become truly dangerous when layered on top of other pressures, like living alone or managing on a tight budget, struggling with social isolation, or not having access to good follow-up care. That means fall prevention isn't just about body mechanics. It's about building systems of support. It's about noticing the danger hours and noticing whether the person in those hours has someone to steady them, check in on them, and walk beside them. And that sets us up for where we go next. Because the truth is that we can't prevent every fall. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, the ground still wins. But next time, we'll flip the script and ask what might sound like a radical question. Is it possible to fall better? How do we train resilience into the moment when prevention fails? And that's the conversation waiting for us in the next article and the next episode of the podcast. So stick with me, because gravity may never sleep, but neither should our curiosity about how to age well and stay strong. If you've got a story you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to include it in an episode of this podcast or one of my articles with your permission. Or if you'd like to come on and be a guest on this podcast, that would be fantastic. I would welcome you. Reach out to me on social media or by my email or on my website. I'll include the contact information in the show notes. And I'll also include the contact information for ADRC of Dodge County, so you can get some information on how to take those classes that Brittany referred to. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I did, and I hope you're enjoying this podcast and article series as much as I am. Now, listener, until next time, fight wisely, age bravely,